Just dropping in to this space right now, feeling what exists in the collective at this moment. Today was Tuesday, October 7th, and for the two people in my life who have their birthdays today, both of whose names start with Z, I love you both very much, and I really, really hope that your birthday does not become a September 11th, because today has been heavy with the propaganda and the genuflecting and the over-the-top bullshittery, if you will. Unfortunately, my algorithm is highly curated, and so I'm shielded from most of it, but what little I saw of mainstream media and communications from politicians, even Zoran Mamdani, oh God, I know he's so close to being elected, and so he has to pander, but oof, that one stung. My friend, did you not run on being pro-Palestine, anti-Zionist? Anyway, and also sitting with the news that our dear Lord and Savior Dolly Parton is in need of our prayers. So sending her all of the love that we have to give because of all the love that she's shown us over the years, and holding her safe and wishing her many more years of virility. May this just be a passing illness for her. Oh, man. My body is very activated today, so this is the day after the Aries full moon, and we had a Mercury square Pluto this morning as Mercury entered into Scorpio, and that has really been coloring this day. Oof. Mercury square Pluto, that's always a oh boy, right? So many fights and so much spiciness and so much Mercury square Pluto says let me stick this shovel in and twist it and then pop it out verbally, right? Mercury square Pluto people natally are just relentless investigators. I had a funny experience when I first started reading natal charts for other people. I the first 10, I think, charts that I read were people who had Mercury square or conjunct Pluto, and I was just like, whoa. This is wild. And I have the square myself, so mine's out of sign a little bit because I have Pluto anorectic in Libra, but yeah, there's just this depth of penetrating intelligence and need to get to the bottom of it. And right now we're in actually the closing square, so we're coming to the point where they will conjoin sometime this late winter. I don't know the exact dates. It'll probably happen more than once because it's Mercury. And moving, when we look at the cycles of Mercury especially, and also Venus, but especially Mercury, because he's so speedy, and it's very so closely tied to the solar cycles, but also a little element of chaos in those solar cycles. With Mercury and Pluto coming into that closing square, it's the way I see planetary cycles is the outer planet always wins, but at the opening square and then at the opposition is the inner planet gets the upper hand. But then at the closing square, it's like the outer planet is showing its hand again and like revealing the depths of the treachery, right? Or the, you know, I mean, this is Pluto we're talking about, so treachery is appropriate, but not necessarily with every planet, right? But the depth, the outer planet kind of reveals their hand, right? And then at the conjunction, the two energies are merged once more. So with Mercury square Pluto today, right? It's just been a thing. It's been a time. But fortunately, our saving grace is that late tonight, early tomorrow, Venus will give us a sextile to Jupiter. And the sextile is like a handshake or a gentle nudge, like a gentle, a side hug, if you will, right? And this is the opening side hug between Venus and Jupiter. So Venus is in Virgo and Jupiter's in Cancer. And it's kind of this moment of atonement is the word that's coming to mind, at one-ment. Coming back and realizing the unbearable necessity of ourselves to each other. And I have no idea what I mean by that, because that just came out of my mouth, and that's the blessing and the curse of having a fully open throat center in my body graph. But that sextile between Venus and Jupiter is saying, like, hey, not everything is cool, right? Things are not copacetic in the world right now. If you are deeply immersed in the 3D time matrix, as most of us are, and as I've talked about on these last, on the last three editions of this podcast, when you try to linearize time, you always find yourself at the end of it, and so you have to keep predicting the end and the end and the end and the end. When we start to work with cycles, we recognize that we are at the beginning of some cycles and we're at the end of other cycles, and cycles happen within cycles and upon cycles, and there is no beginning and there is no end. So really starting to find the places where we can divest from this urgency that the linearization of time has put upon us, and embrace the cyclical nature of time and of reality. I'm going to open the window because it was warm today. I'm pleasantly surprised. Okay. So overnight this morning, we're getting a little Venus squared or sextile to Jupiter to help soften the edges of what is a very crunchy and spicy month in a very crunchy and spicy season. And it's also leading up to Venus's ingress into Libra. I'm not going to pull myself out of the space of, and I record these from a meditative trance state, and so I'm not going to pull myself out of that meditative trance to look up the exact date of the Venus ingress. Yes, I am. Who am I kidding? I can't let myself go. Venus ingresses into Libra on the 13th of October, so that is in a little less than a week. And that is going to set off, because Libra, air sign, Pluto, Uranus, and then opposing, of course, Neptune, who is still in Aries, right before he backs his ass back up into Pisces for a few months. But so it's going to set off this kite pattern with the outer planet, like mini grand trine, little sextile trine action thing going on. But this right now, like today has been so flavored by this Mercury square Pluto business that a little Venus sextile to Neptune, or Venus sextile to Cancer, Jupiter. I've also had I indulged in a adult beverage tonight, so things are, synapses are appropriately lubricated. And I'm listening to some like fun, spicy ambient music. This is the new ambient playlist on that streaming platform, which shall not be named. I know. Yeah, just taking a moment to come back into our bodies and grounding out of this. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm the only one that's been feeling this like really edgy energy. It probably doesn't help that Pluto is like right on top of my Mercury Venus conjunction and square to my Saturn, and kind of widely still square to my Pluto placement natally. So I feel these like early, especially early air sign and early fixed sign places very acutely. But yeah, my partner and I have been like fucking fighting all day, but we've been like talking about it, so that's good, I guess. I don't know if you've like how that's been showing up for you, but taking some time to like feel into the body where that lives, and I can already feel myself like starting to get out of my body and starting to like get ahead of myself, get out over my skis in this discussion. And so I'm just going to take a couple of breaths and recenter and reground. There's so much passion in the air right now. There's so much electric possibility as we are all awakening to the fact that we have power and we can change the course of history together. And I think I talked about this in episode 2. I'm not 100% sure which night it was that I was discussing it, but I think it was 2 nights ago that I was talking about. We love to vilify our world leaders, and we love to vilify the tech bros that own everything, right? But when you reach a certain level of awareness, you realize that they are all just fucking children. And we have to hold them accountable for the harm that they're doing, but at the same time we have to forgive them, for they know not what they do, right? Like, they don't have a fucking clue. They're so scared of whatever father figure they never had, or like whatever childhood trauma they keep living out. Each and every one of these children who are in charge of the world really just needs to be grounded for a couple of weeks and to be told that they're loved. Like, and when I say grounded, I don't mean like shut at home with no access to anything. I mean grounded, right? Why is that a punishment? Why is that something that we this is a whole thing. Maybe I'm going here. Why do we call being punished by having everything taken away from you and your rights and your abilities as a child, as a teenager, why do we call that being grounded? Being grounded is it's a good thing. It's an important thing. We all should be grounded. We all should be releasing our extra energies that we don't know what to do with into the ground, into the earth. But I think this is, I think this is kind of just a representation of the world right now and how ungrounded we are as a culture, how divorced we are from our roots and our communities and our kin, that we would call being grounded a punishment. So anyway, yeah, that's just a little aside there. Yeah, so our saving grace tonight is that we do have that Venus sextile to Jupiter. And Jupiter is in the late degrees of Cancer, and it's just about to turn retrograde, or it just did turn retrograde. Is that in November? Yeah, Jupiter turns retrograde in early November, so he's slowing down to backtrack before kind of covering those last degrees of Cancer and then slipping into Leo. And this is a moment where Jupiter is a little bit detached from what's going on with all of the rest of that. Like, this is a unique period of history where we have all of the outer planets in conversation, right? Since we just had Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto transiting into new signs. Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, all going to backtrack. Saturn's already backtracked a little bit. And Jupiter is coming into conversation with Saturn. It won't be exact, but it will edge at it over the next few months. And I think it won't be exact until like next year. But all of the outer planets are kind of in this conversation, but Jupiter is kind of like lagging behind or pausing and giving us a moment of like consideration in the second half of Cancer, and kind of going backwards through the the second half of Cancer and reviewing things before it comes back into this like concert that the other four outer planets are holding a steady tone right now. Because Pluto is the furthest progressed in terms of where it is in its sign. Pluto's the only one that's not going to retrograde back into its previous sign. And it's going to retrograde back as far as the second degree or 01 of Aquarius. But then we have Saturn, which is already well back into Pisces. Neptune is going to re-enter Pisces soon, and Uranus is going to re-enter Taurus. So it's kind of like, I'm getting the image of like relieving the tension on the bow to string it. So like imagine trying to string a bow, right? So you have to kind of like put your body weight on the, like you've got the frame of the bow, and I don't know the right words, so I'm probably using the wrong words, but you've got the frame of the bow and you're trying to string it, right? And so you like line it up with your body, and then you grab the top of it, and then you put your body weight on it while you've got the string looped around the bottom, and you put your body weight on it and pull down as hard as you can, but trying not to lose the context, or not to lose the contact with the ground, in order to wrap that string around the top of the bow, so that when you release your body weight from the bow, the string is taut enough to shoot the arrows, right? That's the image that's coming up right now for the outer planetary configuration with that. So we have, Pluto in Aquarius is kind of holding down that anchor, that grounded point of the bow. And then Uranus in Gemini right now is that top point where we're trying to kind of pull it back as far as we can. and then loop that string around. And then once the bow is taut, then Saturn and Neptune are kind of drawing back the arrow, and we're going to get kind of a parade of planets. Well, the sun has already gone through. So really it's just Venus that's left to come around that tip of the arrow. So that's kind of like the outer planetary energies that we've been living in. And I hope that this, I know that a lot of the people out there probably aren't as well versed in the language of astrology, and so I hope that I'm able to paint the picture for you and make it feel accessible, because we really are like getting put through a ringer of outer planetary cycles right now. And this is really just what my whole point is about these cycles of history, is that when you feel like you're living at the end, you're always living at the end. But when you allow yourself to see what the cycles are, it's not so scary, right? It's not so... And this one, okay, I'll admit, as somebody who is well versed in astrology and who has dug into the research and looked at, what does it mean when Uranus reaches the 9th degree of Gemini? It's always major events. And have all of the outer planets ingressed new signs in the same year before? No, they haven't. As long as we've been keeping, or as far back as we can calculate, which is like 5000 BC, we've never seen this before. But maybe it's an opportunity for us to actually finally put linear history to bed and to allow linear history to end. And instead of having to measure everything on this straight yardstick, to allow cycles and cyclical behavior to become the norm and the foundation upon which we build. And this is going to be a crucial transition if we are building a civilization here that will endure, or if we're going to be just another flash in the pan like we've been before. And these are messages that are just coming straight through me. I'm edging on trance channeling at this point, so just want to acknowledge that. But what I'm seeing right now, and I hope that people who are tuning in are able to do so from a meditative state and with your eyes closed and seeing the things that I'm seeing, because it's really going to make this more powerful. But what I'm seeing right now is this. We've been trying to build on a number line, right? Take the number line, right? Start at 0, go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? All the real numbers stretched out into like Euclidean infinity, right? It's not very robust to build anything on, right? The line gets fragile as it gets longer. But then imagine like a spirograph of cycles and epicycles, right? Of planetary cycles and configurations and seasons and lifetimes and the lifetimes of institutions and countries and things that we build, right? The lifetimes of spaceships and the lifetimes of stars. All of these things which can be represented on a number line in terms of linear history, but imagine that time folding back on itself and looping and creating these like biological structures, these like double helix DNA, flower of life, like even like a Twizzler, right? These like linear but not linear woven web, cords, ropes of time instead of time lines. Instead of time lines, we have time ropes and time tapestries, right? Don't you think that you could build something so much more structurally sound if you acknowledged the fact that your lines loop back in on each other? Yeah, so if you don't know astrology, there's always time to learn. It's time to learn. You just open your eyes to the patterns of the cycles of the planets. And then when you look and you see, well, where are we in these cycles of time? There's always a dance. There's always a place. And it doesn't always become obvious from the vantage point of an individual human, right? Our lifetimes are so short compared to the lifetime or the cycles of planets, especially when we get into the outers. But you can start to take a step back and take a bigger view and take a broader view and learn how history repeats itself and rhymes and is weaving these like ropes of time instead of time lines, right? So I think that's part of the great work that we're here to do. And I know my mentor, one of my mentors, Elena Rose Dumaine, has talked about how we're here to end, like, we've all been in places where there's a time matrix, and right now we're in a time matrix, and we're kind of at the natural end of it. And it doesn't mean the end of anything. Nothing is actually fucking ending. Like, it's not the end of the world. For fuck's sake, it's the earth. Like, she is not gonna, like, we're not at the end of the world. We're just at the logical conclusion of the Roman Empire. That's it, right? Like, it's time to let it rest and recuperate and percolate, and to let all of the good aspects of civilization and progress and the evolution of culture, let all of the good things from that percolate down into the soil, into the people, into the planet itself, herself, and then come back together and re-emerge as a I don't have words, right? Re-emerge as an organic and fluid and self-supporting and sustainable and beautiful and nourishing version of what we have now, right? Because when we're working on linear time, we get to a point where we're just putting the railroad tracks under the train as we're steaming off the cliff, right? Like a Wile E. Coyote, right? And we're well over that cliff. Like, all we have to do is look down and we're gonna fucking fall. But if we let these things that we have created, if we let all of these, like the technology, like the ways that we have captured lightning inside of sand and made it fucking think, like, that's pretty wild, right? And that's not to diminish that, right? We did that. But it's time to let it settle and time to stop this constant need for linear progress and linear constant striving and yang and masculine and outer and outer and outer and outer and up and up and up and up and up and up and up, right? Because at some point you're going to just fall over. So if we can let the things that we have created that we want to preserve come to rest on the earth and build in the within the skeleton of what remains, we build these nurturing webs of community and wholeness and understanding and acceptance and shared vision. Then we can build a fucking self-sustaining civilization here on this planet that can join the galactic community, right? That can join up with all of the other star nations that indigenous cultures have told us about for millennia. We just have to we need to gain more balance. And so right now the sun is in Libra, and so this is a time to think about balance. This is a time to be weighing the harvest, right? Libra, the scales, justice, balance, harmony, decision or indecision. That moment in the seasons when the balance starts to tip more towards the underworld, towards the time of darkness. We assess the harvest, we weigh it, we look at what we've brought in, what we've learned, what we've taken in from the sun, from so much sun over the summer season, and we prepare to go inward. And these are those times. This is that time in the northern hemisphere, of course. Australians, y'all are getting ready to emerge, and South Americans, of course. But with the looking forward to that time of darkness and that time of contemplation and inward focusing. And yin and allowing and being rather than doing. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking at what we've created here today, and I hope that some of this resonates with you, and I hope that I have hope. That feels sufficient, right? I have hope. I hope you do too. Just taking a moment to sit with that, checking in with my body. So I invite you to check in with yours and see, has anything shifted for you since sitting down with this recording, and how? We're heading into that Venus sextile Jupiter for tonight, and that feels like much more harmony and much more understanding that we're going to need to get through these really tumultuous times. So as long as enough of us hold that shared vision of what is to come, we'll get there. We'll get there. Thank you for being here. Good night. Good luck.